The ice trial begins in a dark corner of the galaxy. There is a frozen planet. It has no name, only a number. XR577. The ground is ice. The air is ice. Even the sky feels cold. This is where the ice trial happens. Thousands of years ago, powerful beings called the Watchers created the ice trial. It was simple. Send a species to XR577 and see if they can survive. So far, 57 alien species have come. Strong species. Smart species. Some had fire. Some had machines. Some could fly. Some could think faster than computers. But all of them failed. All of them froze. All of them died. None passed the ice trial now. The 58th species is here. Not tall, not fast, not strong. They call themselves humans. From a ship above the planet, the Watchers are watching again. They have no bodies, only glowing eyes in the dark. They do not speak with mouths. Their voices echo in each other's minds. They are soft. They are weak. They have no claws, no armor. They won't last a day. The humans step off their landing craft. The wind is sharp. The temperature is -70 degrees. Skin freezes in seconds. The ground is hard like steel, but the humans do not run. They begin to work. Eli leads the team. He is quiet, strong, and his face is red from the cold, but his eyes are clear. With him is Myra, small and quick. She looks around, alert like a fox. The other humans follow them, each carrying bags, tools, and small boxes. Eli puts down his bag and speaks. We build shelter. Now, they begin digging into the snow. It's not deep, just enough to shape it. They cut the snow into blocks. Myra watches them carefully. Like puzzle pieces, she says. Big snow puzzle. Block by block, they start building a dome. It is round and low. It's not fancy. Just snow. No machines, no metal. Just white blocks. One of the Watchers speaks again. They build ... an igloo. Primitive. It will not save them. But inside the dome, it is already warmer. Eli uses a small flame from a tool. He lights something. A tiny fire burns. The people gather around. Their faces glow orange. They are cold, but they are not afraid. Night falls, the sky turns black. Stars shine, but there is no moon. The cold becomes even worse. The ice groans under the weight of the wind. Somewhere, a loud cracking sound shakes the ground, but the igloo stands down inside. Myra speaks to Eli. I thought we would freeze. Eli smiles. So did they. Myra looks up. Who's they? He doesn't answer. He only stares at the ceiling, thinking in space. The Watchers are no longer calm. One of them shifts nervously. They made fire. They sleep inside snow. They do not scream. They do not beg. Another voice, older and slower, speaks. They adapt. That is dangerous. One Watcher asks, should we end the trial? Now, no one answers. Back on the planet, more humans arrive from the ship. Now, there are 20. They build 3 more igloos. One for sleeping, one for supplies, one for fire. They melt ice to make water. They use heat from their hands, tools, and even their bodies. They share food. They tell jokes. They sing. The ice storm outside grows louder, but they are still alive. Late at night, Myra steps outside. She looks up at the sky. Her breath forms clouds in the air. Suddenly, she hears something crack. She freezes. The ground shakes. Ice splits a few meters away. Something is moving under the surface. Slow, heavy, alive. She runs back inside. Eli. Something's under the ice. He gets up quickly. The others look scared, but Eli just grabs his jacket. Then we stay together, he says. We survive, like we always do. High above, one of the Watchers whispers something new. No species has ever done this. They build with nothing. They make heat with hands. They make laughter in death. Another answers, voice full of fear. They are not like the others. Asterisk, the sun had not risen for 5 days. There was no morning on XR 577, only cold, darkness, and silence. The kind of silence that made bones. Ache, the kind of silence that could break minds. But the humans were still alive. They had built 6 igloos, each one shaped like a half moon, glowing from inside. From above, it looked like small lights in the snow like fireflies trapped in ice. The watchers watched. They had never stopped watching. They are not dying. This is wrong. By now, others beg to leave. These ones laugh. Inside one igloo, Myra sat close to a small flame. Her hands were near it, palms open. She stared into the fire, but her mind was far away. She still remembered the sound. That sound under the ice. It wasn't wind. It was breathing. Eli entered. Shaking off frost. We need more fuel. 2 more nights of storm coming. Myra didn't answer. What did you hear out there? He asked. I don't know, she said slowly, but it felt old. Eli didn't laugh. He never laughed. That's why she trusted him. Tomorrow, he said, we dig deeper. The next morning, or what they called morning, Eli led a team. Toward the crack in the ice, tore people. 3 shovels, 1 scanner. The scanner beeped softly as they moved. The screen showed empty layers of ice, until something pulsed, beep, 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 dash beep. Myra checked it twice. Then again, there's metal, she said. Far down, deep under us. Eli looked at the sky. How deep? 30 meters. Eli nodded. We dig. Far above, the watchers began to argue. This test was meant to study survival. They are doing more than surviving. They adapt. They search. They ask questions. A younger voice whispered, they remind me of the first ones. The room fell. Silent. Do not speak of them, the elder said. They were erased. Maybe, the younger replied. But maybe they are back, in soft form. It took 2 days to reach the metal. The team built a tunnel from snow and ice, reinforced with bones of frozen beasts they had hunted. No machines, just tools, fire, and teamwork. At last, the shovel hit something hard. Clang. Myra knelt beside it and brushed away the snow. Beneath the ice was a door. Round, black, covered in strange symbols, none of them human. Eli, she whispered, this isn't part of the planet. It's old tech, Eli said, buried for centuries. They looked at each other. Should we open it? Someone asked. Eli didn't answer. He was already turning the wheel. With a long hiss, the door creaked open. Inside was darkness. Cold air rushed out, colder than anything they'd felt on the surface. It was not just empty air. It felt angry. They climbed down a metal ladder. Their boots echoed. The place smelled like rust, ozone, and fear. The walls were smooth, round, alien. Lights flickered once and then stayed dead. Myra turned on her helmet lamp. She froze. There were bones, long, curved, with double spines. Dozens, frozen in sitting positions, all facing the same direction. Toward a screen. On it, one red light blinked. Beep. Beep, beep. Eli stepped forward and touched the screen. It came to life. A voice spoke, not loud, not sharp, flat, cold. XR 577. Ice trial. Subject species. Sephirex. Status. Failed. The screen flashed again. Subject species. Grakel. Status. Failed. One after another, names filled the screen. Species. Status. Nira scrolled down. There were 57 of them, and at the bottom, blinking, Species, 58. Human. Status, unknown. Then something else appeared. Warning, if subject survives past cycle 6, initiate containment protocol. Eli looked at Mira. What does that mean? She asked. It means someone doesn't want us to win. Suddenly, the lights in the room turned red. A loud alarm echoed, doors began to close. The humans ran for the exit, just before it sealed. Mira jumped through. The sound behind them was metal screaming above ground. Others ran to help. What happened? Someone shouted. Mira fell to her knees. It wasn't a test, she gasped. It's a trap. A game they don't want us to win. High above, the watchers watched in silence. One spoke at last. They found it. This is too far. We must end the trial. But a deeper voice answered, no, we must watch to the end. We must see what happens when humans break the rules. That night, the wind howled louder than ever, but the humans sat inside their glowing igloos. They weren't afraid anymore. They were curious, and that watchers feared most. The cold was not just outside now, it was inside the ground. Inside the walls. Inside the air they breathed. But inside the igloo, fire still lived. Not a big fire. Not wild, just a small, calm flame. It danced quietly inside a metal bowl. Its light touched their faces, warming red cheeks and tired hands. Eli stared at the flame like it was a living thing. We were never supposed to make this, he said. Myra looked up. Fire. Eli nodded. On this planet, in this test, we broke something. A rule. Maybe even a law. Above, on the Watcher ship, the silence was loud. No one moved. One of the oldest Watchers spoke. They made fire. On XR 577, this has never happened. Another added, even the Sephirex had fusion tech, but no heat. Their fire was in machines, not hearts. These creatures, a third whispered, make fire from hope. They didn't understand it. That's what scared them. Back on the surface, Myra was fixing one of the small heaters near the supply igloo. Her gloves were thick, but her fingers were freezing. Then the scanner in her pocket buzzed. Something was approaching. She clicked the screen. A heat signature, faint, slow, and big. Not one of us, she muttered. She called Eli. They climbed the nearest hill, crawled to the edge, and looked into the white blur below. And there it was. A beast made of ice, tall as two humans. Long arms, no eyes. Its body cracked with every step, but inside its chest, a soft blue glow. What is that? Mira whispered. Not from the test, Eli said. Something else woke up. They returned to camp. The group gathered. The firelight flickered across their serious faces. There's something watching us, Mira said, living in the snow. Some wanted to leave. Some wanted to fight. Eli simply said, we light more fires, not just to stay warm, to be seen. He handed torches around. Let the cold know we're here. That night, the camp glowed brighter than ever. 6 fires burned. 7 torches stood in the ground like flags. Above them, in the sky, a watcher. Watched alone. They are not hiding. They are challenging us. Later, Mira and a small team explored the cave near the site of the buried lab. The scanner beeped again, not for metal this time, but for something else. They found a symbol carved in the rock wall. Not alien, not human, but something in dash between it looked like a hand holding a flame. This cave is older than the trial, Myra said. How do you know? A team member asked. Because it's warm? And it was. The air around the symbol was just slightly warmer than the rest of the cave, as if the rock remembered fire. Suddenly, deep growl echoed through the cave. They turned, behind them stood the ice-beast. It moved slowly, like it was dreaming. But its glow pulsed faster as it stepped closer. Someone pulled out a shotgun. "No," Eli said. "Don't shoot." He stepped forward, holding the torch. The creature stopped. Its head tilted. The firelight reflected in its ice body, and it shook. A strange noise came out, like cracking glass and something else. A cry. Then it turned and slowly walked away. Later, at camp, Mira stared into the fire again. "The beast didn't attack us," she said. "Because of the fire," Eli answered. "No," she said, "because it remembered it." In the Watcher ship, arguments grew louder. The trial must end. They are waking things that should not wake. This fire, it is not just heat, it is memory. One Watcher stood alone. "Let it burn," he said. "Let the story finish." "Why?" the others asked. "Because I want to see if fire can melt fate." That night, as the humans slept, something changed. The snow around their camp began to melt, just slightly. Just enough, not from machines, not from heat, but from defiance. Asterisk, the ice was breathing. That's what it felt like. Every night, Mira woke up with the same thought. The ground under the igloos moved, not fast, not loud, just slow. Like something sleeping beneath them was beginning to dream. The humans had survived longer than any other species in the trial, longer than any record, longer than the Watchers believed possible. They had fire, they had shelter, and now they had questions. Eli stood at the edge of a frozen cliff, looking down into a newly opened crack in the ground. It was wide, dark, and deep, so deep that light never touched the bottom. Behind him, Mira approached with the scanner. "There's something below," she said. "It's not metal, not heat, but it's alive." Eli didn't move. Then, "We climbed down," he said. That same day, a team of 6 tied ropes and prepared. The air grew colder the deeper they went, but something was strange. The cold wasn't natural. It felt designed. About 100 meters down, they reached a massive hollow. Space, an underground cavern made of smooth black ice. But it was not empty. There were pillars, walls, and symbols, and in the center, surrounded by frozen chains, was a creature. It wasn't alive, but it wasn't dead either. It stood frozen in place, eyes shut, mouth open like it had died screaming. Its skin was pale silver. Its arms were long and wrapped around its chest like it had been holding something, but what? No one could tell. One of the humans whispered, "That's not a statue. That's a prisoner." Myra stepped closer and looked up at the wall beside the frozen being. Carved into the ice were ancient symbols and a picture. A circle of stars, a fire in the middle. And around it, many species kneeling. "This isn't a cave," she whispered. "It's a tomb." "Or a warning," Eli said. Back at the surface, the ice began to crack again, but not because of the humans. Something else was waking up, high above. In the Watcher ship, the arguments grew louder. They have gone too far. They found the old one. They must leave. But the younger Watcher, the one who had spoken softly before, said only this: "It is too late." They touched the locked past. Now it will open. Night fell fast. Storms surrounded the camp. The fire in the igloos flickered suddenly. A loud boom echoed across the land. The cavern below had broken open. The ice prisoner was gone. Only the chains remained. But in its place was a new tunnel, a path deeper underground. The humans were afraid. But Eli only said, "We keep going. If the truth is down there, we bring it back." They followed the tunnel for hours. No machines. No GPS. Just firelight and FOOT FALLs. Then they reached it. A room full of frozen machines. Floating screens, data stored in crystals. And in the center, a terminal still glowing red dot. Myra stepped forward. The screen lit up. "Welcome," it said. "Trial archive online." They watched in silence as the screen played a message. A hologram appeared. Not a watcher, not human. Something in between. Older, slower. To those who find this, we leave a warning. The ice trial is not a test of strength. It is a lock. A seal, the ones who created fire long before you. Burned too bright. They woke the cold. Now, every species is sent here. Not to survive, ... but to distract. It, until someone wins. If you are that someone, it is already coming for you. The screen went dark. The ground shook from far away. A roar, not an animal. Not a machine. Something older, something angry. Back on the surface, the snow turned black for the first time, and the humans saw shapes moving in the distance. Not beasts, not watchers, but something in between. Mira whispered, "We didn't pass the test. We triggered the next one." The sky was wrong. It had always been cold, always gray, always still. But now it moved. Above the human camp, the clouds twisted like smoke underwater. The stars blinked out, one by one, as if something massive was passing between them and the planet. Myra stood outside the igloo, staring upward. "Eli," she said softly. "Look." He stepped out, followed her gaze. Stand froze. There was a shape in the sky. Not a ship. Not a shadow. Something older, wider, like a wound in space that had never healed. The humans gathered. No one spoke. The scanners picked up nothing. No heat, no life. No life. But the feeling in their bones. That was real. They were not alone. Any more below the surface, in the frozen archive, the lights turned red. Words began flashing on screens Myra hadn't touched. Seal compromised. Containment breach. Protocol Omega. Engage. A mechanical voice whispered once before shutting off. They have returned. Eli met with the crew inside the fire dome, the largest igloo, built with packed snow, bone, and stone. It was warm inside, but no one felt safe. "What's in the sky?" someone asked. "Not watchers," Mira said. "They're afraid of it, too." She opened her notebook. On it were the carvings from the cave. One image stood out, a ring of fire, and in the middle, a black shape falling from the stars. "It's not part of the trial," she said. "It's what the trial was keeping away." "Then why did it come now?" someone asked. Eli answered without blinking. "Because we lasted too long." High above, inside the Watcher's silent orbiting station, alarms flared for the first time in centuries. The young Watcher stared at the approaching shape. "The deep memory returns," he said. "We never destroyed it," another muttered. "We only slowed it down. And now the humans have called it back." "They didn't call it," the young one said. "They disturbed the silence, and it heard." That night, the humans saw footprints outside the camp. Not theirs. Not beast. Too perfect. Too symmetrical, like something had walked in and out of existence, leaving only impressions in the snow. Inside her igloo, Mira heard a whisper. But no one was there. Just flame. Just shadows. And yet, a voice. "You are the first to open the door." She turned. The fire flickered blue. For a moment, just a blink, she saw a face in the flame. Not human, not kind, not cruel. Just ... watching. Then it was gone. The next day, something even stranger happened. One of the Watchers landed. It stepped into the human camp, silent, tall, wrapped in light and shadow. The humans raised weapons. It raised nothing, "We came to end you," it said. "Now we come to warn you." They stared in shock. The Watchers had never spoken before. "You passed the ice trial." That was not meant to happen. The trial was a seal. A distraction. A gate. Mira asked, "A gate? For what?" The Watcher's eyes dimmed. "We do not have a word. You might call it hunger," it continued. "It does not eat food. It eats fire, memory, time. It erases." When the first ones created warmth, they burned too bright. It noticed. So we created the ice. Cold hides light. Every species sent here failed, and the gate stayed closed. It turned toward the sky. But you adapted. You endured. You brought fire where there should be none. You were not supposed to survive. Silence. Then Eli said, "What no one else could then help us fight it." The Watcher paused. "We are not fighters. We are survivors, like you, but we can teach." The humans and the Watcher stood together near the fire. The stars above vanished. One by one, the dark shape was no longer in orbit. It was in the sky, low, moving, and the ground was starting to melt, not from heat, but from what was coming through. Myra whispered, "We didn't just survive the ice test." Eli nodded. "We unlocked the final one." The stars were gone. Not hidden. Not behind clouds. Gone. The sky above XR 577 looked like a lid had been closed over the planet. No starlight. No moon. No space. Just a slow-moving black sheet. It was not night. It was something else in the human camp. No one slept. They stood around the fires, weapons in hand, breath fogging the air. They weren't cold anymore. They were waiting. From above, the thing finally arrived. Not fast, not loud. It drifted like a forgotten thought returning. It had no face, no form, just a feeling. Every fire in the camp dimmed when it passed over. Every scanner died. Then it spoke. Not with sound. With memory. Eli dropped to his knees. Suddenly, he was 5 years old again. Lost in a snowstorm on Earth. Cold. Scared. Alone. Mira saw her brother, long dead, calling her name from inside the ice. Others screamed. Some cried. Some stood frozen. The thing was inside their minds. Only the Watcher remained standing. Its voice cut through the fog. It sees you. It remembers your fire. Atei, but it does not hate you. It is not alive. It is hunger. A force. The black sky shape began to descend. It wasn't made of matter. It was a hole, a blank spot in reality, folding and cracking the ground below. Ice melted in lines. Shapes slithered beneath the surface, long and thin like frozen shadows. "This is not a fight of weapons," the Watcher said. "This is a fight of will." In the distance, the ice cracked like thunder. From beneath, 3 creatures emerged. Tall, silent, smooth. Each one looked different, yet all shared the same blank. Black eyes. They walked with perfect calm toward the human camp. Myra gripped her fire staff. "Let's test their calm." She threw it. The flame struck one directly. It screamed. Not with sound, but by stealing the light from everything around it. The world dimmed. The fire went out. Then, another fire lit. But this time, not from Mira, from Eli's chest. He stood tall, calm, and glowing. His body burned, but not with heat. With memory, with everything he had ever survived. The ice storm at 16, the war at 20, the hunger, the silence, the fear, all of it became light. The Watcher turned to the others. Humans are not the first to survive, but they are the first to remember pain and call it strength. More humans lit up one by one, not with flames, but with their stories, their trauma, their fight. Their reason to live, and it burned brighter than fire. The shadow creatures stopped. Confused, they had seen weapons. They had seen fire. But they had never seen a species fight with memory. The sky being trembled. It had no eyes. But for the first time, it paused. The watchers smiled, a strange, ancient smile. You see now? It said to the dark, you fed on silence. But they carry noise. You erased peace, but they carry scars. They are not perfect, but they will not let go. The first creature charged. Eli stepped forward. He did not strike. He stood, the creature touched him, and burned. Not from heat, from truth. It vanished. The ground cracked deeper. More shadows came. The humans formed a circle, backs together, holding their fire inside, not in weapons, but in memories. Mira shouted, "They can't take what we survived." The flames grew. Not red dot gold in the orbiting watcher station. Silence fell. The old ones watched something they had never seen. A species not just surviving, not just adapting, but changing the trial. Itself below, the black sky began to break. It cracked like glass. Inside, its stars. Real stars, the humans were bringing them back. But one final shadow still stood. It did not charge. It did not run. It bowed, not in peace, not in surrender, but in respect. And it spoke in one final word. Remember? Then it dissolved. The black sky faded. Light returned, and in the ice, grass began to grow. The cold was gone, not fully, not forever, but it had stepped back like a wave that once tried to drown the shore, and failed. The sky above XR 577 was clear for the first time in recorded history. The stars returned, and with them, light. But something else had changed too. The trial was over. Eli stood at the top of a snowy ridge, overlooking the human camp below. No longer just a few igloos, now a small village, glowing, alive, defiant. Mira climbed up beside him. She was still carrying the torch, though she no longer needed it. "They're calling us the Fireborn in the Watcher records," she said. Eli gave a small smile. It's not bad for a species that almost froze on day one. Down below, the Watchers, once silent, floating judges, now walked with the humans. They asked questions. They listened. And for the first time, they learned. There was no ceremony, no anthem, no parade, just a single word, carved into the ice at the center of the camp. Remember? Because it wasn't about fire. It was about memory, about scars, about surviving and choosing not to forget why. Weeks passed. The frozen creatures never returned. The black sky never came again. Instead, something else happened. Grass, water, sunlight. The planet woke up as if held hostage for eons by something ancient. And now free. A signal came in from the outer colonies. Other species were watching, not afraid, not angry. Inspired, one message simply said, "We thought the trial was death. Cute showed us it was a lie." Another said, "If humans can survive the cold, maybe we can survive our fears." The trial had never been a test. It was a filter to block species from reaching something greater. Fire was never the weapon. Human will was dot, and now the trial was broken. The gate was open. One of the younger watchers approached Eli as he packed. "For departure, you are leaving." Eli nodded. "There are other gates out there, other lies. Why not rest?" The watcher asked. Eli looked at the stars. "Because we're human. We don't stop where others did." That's the whole point. Before leaving XR 577, the humans placed one last object in the snow. Not tech, not a weapon. A mirror facing the sky, so when other ships came, they would see their own face and ask themselves, what will we do when the cold comes for us? Mira looked back at the planet from the ship window. This place almost killed us. Eli smiled. It introduced us to ourselves. Log entry, final transmission from XR 577 species number 58. Humanity trial status. Failed seal status. Shattered planet status. Awakened, we didn't survive the ice trial because we were the strongest. We survived because we're not afraid of the cold. And because when the universe told us to freeze, we lit a fire anyway.